Hello everyone, welcome to this PROTEUS information session. My name is Dimitar Keranov and I'm working at the Central Europe program of our organization. I would also like to introduce my esteemed colleague Joanna Kopacka, who is covering Poland and who will be presenting today as well. Just very briefly regarding the organization of this information session, in the first 20 to 30 minutes, we would like to provide you with an overview and an introduction into the SURF program, the Transatlantic Foundation, our work in Central Europe, and especially into the two open calls for proposals what we have, and also introduce you to certain technical details that are specific to these grants. And after approximately half an hour, we would like to simply open the Q&A session, providing you with the opportunity to ask questions, and we will try to answer those questions according to our best knowledge. We're covering 8 countries: Bulgaria, Croatia, Czechia, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. And within the program, there is the possibility to submit the applications in all of these national languages and also obviously in English. Unfortunately, due to the certain logistical constraints, we cannot offer this session in all of the national languages, so it will be held in English. Against that background, please feel free to ask your questions in English. The event will be recorded. Obviously, for information purposes, we would like to upload the video to our YouTube channel. However, the Q&A part will not be recorded, as we would like to allow free exchange of information and questions. PROTEUS is part of the EU SURF program, which stands for Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values, and this is directly managed and funded programming by the European Commission, designed to support equality rights, gender equality, citizens' engagement and participation, as well as union values. And Proteus is practically belonging to this union values part of the SURF programming and was selected as a re-granting mechanism to support civil society organizations in the 8 project countries I mentioned earlier. In accordance with the goals set for the SURF programming, the main aim of Proteus is to strengthen civil society organizations so that they're able to protect, promote, and raise awareness of European values and fundamental rights. So, above all, democracy, the rule of law, human rights, the equality of men and women, and the non discrimination against persons belonging to minorities. The program objectives of Proteus are supporting democratic participation, public deliberation and inclusion, strengthening CSO resilience to shrinking space, protecting and promoting EU values and fundamental rights, with a special focus on peripheral and rural areas, and supporting civic activism in peripheral and rural areas. Please allow me to say a couple of words also about the Transatlantic Foundation. So the program is running under the label of the Transatlantic Foundation, but you can access all the information on the website of the German Marshall Fund of the United States. And the explanation is very simple. The Transatlantic Foundation is the European and EU registered arm of the German Marshall Fund of the United States, headquartered in Brussels, Belgium. And based on the agreement between these two organizations, these two legal entities, the Transatlantic Foundation is trading as the German Marshall Fund of the United States. So that is the reason you can access the information and the calls for proposals on the German Marshall Fund's website, and they're also distributed by the German Marshall Fund's social media accounts. This is the first open call for proposals we have on supporting advocacy and awareness raising action to promote transparency and anti-corruption. Here, the objective is to strengthen CSOs in their advocacy and awareness raising action related to transparency and accountability of governments. The eligible countries are Bulgaria, Croatia, Czechia, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. and the budget is 300,000 euros. Concerning the budget, we're always striving to reach a certain geographical balance when it comes to grant decisions and the distribution of the funds, but it's obviously also influenced by the number of applications we receive from the individual program countries as well as the quality of the applications. The eligible activities here are activities that promote transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct within public and private institutions, monitor and investigate any form of corruption or misuse of public funds, encourage collaboration across sectors and between different stakeholders, advocate legal and regulatory reforms, build the capacity of individuals, organizations, and institutions to prevent, detect, and respond effectively to corruption. And there's an important eligibility note I would like to mention. So, activities on strategic irrigation can be supported, but are limited to capacity building, awareness raising, training, mutual learning, and exchange of good practices and analytical activities. Court actions and direct litigation activities are not eligible for support under this action. This is very important. This is our second open call for proposals on promoting awareness of EU rights and values in peripheral regions. Here, the objective is to enhance the understanding of and support for EU rights and values, with a special focus on fundamental rights, democracy, and the rule of law among populations in peripheral and rural areas. The eligible countries are the same, as well with the budget. And a little bit about the eligible activities. So those are online, offline awareness raising and outreach activities, promoting the importance of rights and values under the EU treaties, organization of civic dialogue, discussion platforms, and debate series on EU rights and values, local heroes and storytelling campaigns anchoring EU rights and values, local, regional, or cross-border rights and values festivals, youth camps dedicated to the theme of EU rights and values, local regional media campaigns featuring content on the local impact of rights and values, as well as public art and participatory theater projects, anti-fake news campaigns combating disinformation related to rights and values, petition and advocacy campaigns, activities aimed at strengthening information integrity in electoral contexts, so particularly through fact-checking, combating disinformation, and monitoring platform content by civil society organizations. And last but not least, activities aimed at strengthening electoral integrity, particularly through information campaigns on voting rights, the recruitment and training of civic election observers, and the implementation of civic election observation efforts. So those are calls for proposals for which you can submit your applications by midnight of May 19th. And that was all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Joanna Kopacka, who will tell you more about the technical details of the application process.
In terms of the earliest starting date for the project, we ask you to plan for the earliest July 1st this summer. And if you are thinking of a 12-month project, for it to finish at the latest on July 31st, 2026. If you're going for the 12-month July 26 timeline, please remember that there will be only 1 month to report on your project. So it means that you would need to factor in your staff capacities for August to report and submit all of the necessary documentation. Then in terms of budgets, the EU values and awareness raising about the fundamental rights call here. We have a bit of a smaller budget for single country projects. It's only 15,000 euro at the most for single country and 30,000 for cross-border projects. The transparency and anti-corruption call here is the usual 25 for single country and 40 for cross-border. please remember that if you are already running or planning a project that is funded by the EU and you want this funding from us to complement it, it will not be eligible. So this funding cannot complement any other EU-funded project. It can, however, complement other funders. So own contribution or wherever else you're planning to get the funding from. In the application form itself, there is a small distinction between co-applicant and partner. If you're thinking to apply with someone else and you want them to have a piece of the budget, then you should list them under co-applicant. They should fulfill the same eligibility criteria, so be a non-profit organization in one of the project countries. And yes, they will carry out and implement project with you. However, it's also possible to have a partner. It's a much more informal kind of partnership. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit or NGO. It could be a media outlet. It can be civil servants, educational institutions, whatever you please, whatever makes sense for your project. Here you can still contract some activities to your partners. They will just invoice you, but they are not implementing and reporting on the project with you. Then in terms of the application form and kind of trying to think about, defining the results that you would like to deliver with your project, there is this distinction between qualitative results and quantitative results. This will be the same results that you will then report on at the end of your project. So it's quite important that you be as specific as possible. In terms of qualitative results, we only ask you to type down 1 or 2 to think about the type of change that your project wants to bring about that is connected to the purpose of the project and its activities. It's of course connected to the why you're doing this, what kind of awareness or competencies or relationships you want to build with the project. And you will probably base these results on testimonials, surveys, or other interpretation and context to your data sets. In terms of quantitative results, you can see here in the blue box the indicators that have been preset by the EU. And here we ask you for numbers, but please remember that you don't have to give us an indicator for a number for each one of those indicators. So if you don't plan a publication in your project and it doesn't make sense for your project, put number 0 and it's all fine. It actually tells us that you know what your capacities are and you know exactly what you want to do. Of course, these are also quite limited. So whatever else is there in terms of numbers, in terms of what you can quantify, please add, there is a space in the application form to add your own tailored results there. 2 remarks. We also explain it in the application form, but I'm just going to repeat it here. The number of people engaged in the CSO activities, so civil society organization activities, is the number of people that work on the project. So your employees, volunteers, maybe experts that help you develop the project. It's not the number of people that you want to overall engage. And this is people from your organization here. And then in terms of the number of targeted individuals provided with a service. Here you will put a number of, everyone you want to train, everyone you want to engage with your project, with your counseling services, educational program, whatever you are thinking about. This number will also be the same number you put here in the target group, in the project total. This is who you want to affect with your project activities. And what we ask here is that it will be the primary target group of your project. So, for example, if you're thinking of engaging journalists, and part of this big group of journalists is women, please don't put here in this table women and then again journalists. We only ask you to define this primary target group of the project that you will put here. Sometimes it also happens that applicants put here numbers of people that they suspect they will reach with social media campaigns promoting the project. This is also not the space here to do that, unless your whole project is about a social media campaign. So if this is what you are primarily trying to do, so build a media campaign that plans to reach a certain amount of people, yes, here you can probably estimate the number of people you will reach in citizens, for example. But if your social media is only a supporting act to your project, if you only want to communicate about it and you will reach some people, this is still not the table to put the social media audience here. It's going to come later in the outreach and communication plan. Then a few remarks about the budget form. We encourage you to budget here in terms of per cost, the total labor cost that you pay for your employees. So not just the gross salary, but also everything that you pay on top, taxes, insurances, and so on. What is quite important to remember is also that the maximum that you can put in the administrative costs is the 7% of the total requested grant amount. And here you should put accounting services, utilities, cybersecurity, internet fees, whatever you incur as an office, as an organization. But please do not put the cost of an accountant in the personal costs. They belong in the administrative costs. And then super quickly, this is a piece of the budget form and that we ask you to fill. You can see here, for example, if you were thinking to budget for a manager of your project, in unit, you will put a month. But if it's like a freelancer that you only pay day by day, you will put day here. Or hours, then a number of units, 12. So this is like a cost of a salary of a manager for a whole year. Then here in price per unit, you will put what you pay a month to this manager. Here goes the total amount together summed, so a whole year of paying for this manager's position. And here in the grant requested from TF is exactly what you will cover from this grant. So it could be either the total amount you want to pay your manager entirely from this grant, or just a piece that is going to be covered by TF. If it's just a piece, if you only want to cover half of the salary from the grant, then another half will need to be covered either by your own contribution or by other funders' resources. Award criteria, we do specify it on our website. There isn't a lot to add. I think you can see that the biggest number of points you can get for being aligned with like the basic premise of the call. So what the call is trying to achieve, and how your project aligns with that. Of course, feasibility of goals. So as I mentioned earlier, like it's sometimes better to be a bit more modest about the results you're trying to achieve rather than overpromise, because feasibility is also a factor that we will look at when evaluating an application. And then I think what's also important to remember is that there is also like a little section in the application form that is about innovation and an innovative approach in your project. We are not asking you here to figure out something that is completely new and unheard of before. If you have a project that actually worked for you really good in the past, you just want to make another edition of it, but maybe you know, amplify it a little bit, advance it, you know, tweak it based on the learnings that you had in the previous years or in the previous editions. It's also all fine. There is no need to figure out an innovative project that just for the sake of innovation. We also want to support projects that work, but that where we can see that there's been some reflection happening on how to make it even better. As Dimitar has mentioned before, we're going to be waiting for your applications until midnight, May 19th. We do say we will confirm the receipt of your applications, but that's going to happen only after the deadline. And please give us a few days. There is a lot of documents coming in, so we ask you kindly for a bit of patience, but we will confirm that we received your application. The rest you can find on the website. And just a few last words on the timeline. The proposals will be evaluated from the moment we receive your applications until June. Evaluation results all will be announced in June, and then we are planning to sign a grant agreement with the selected applicants between June and July, and so you can start your projects duly in July. That's it in a telegraphic short.